Okay, welcome back. So this is the homework that was assigned yesterday in the video. So I'm just going to give you the answers and quickly go over it. To find the slope of the trend line below, Riley chose the points 180 and 230. Would that help her write the correct equation of the line? Absolutely not. She used these data points to then come up with the trend line. They are not asking for an equation of the scatter plot. They're asking for the equation of the line that was drawn. So if you're going to write the equation of this line, you need points that are on this line. Okay? So what you could have done is your rise over run. So pick 2 points, say these two here. Going from 70 to 30 is a drop of 40. So your vertical change is negative 40, or your rise. And then horizontally, the difference is 2 boxes, which are worth 2. So I can get my horizontal change that way. So negative 40 divided by 2 is negative 20. So that is the way we're trying to shift to as far as how we find our slope. But there is never a time where this won't work, honestly. So 0, 90, and 170 are 2 points. Change in y is negative 20. Change in x is 1. You get negative 20 over 1. The same exact answer. It really doesn't matter. This is the way other people will do it, so I don't want you to just be totally caught off guard when they're doing it this way. I want you to be confident in that way will always work. As long as you know other people are going to use that, it actually doesn't matter which way you use. All right, so I was maybe thinking I was talking too much, and I was going to go back and re-record that, but let's just go with it. B, the equation of the trend line. Writing equations of lines is really important. So I'm not sure where each of you stand individually, but this would be a really great thing to stay after class for next week, or next lesson. So your y-intercept is where the equation of the line, the trend line, hits the y-axis. So that's at 90. And you also need your slope. So when you go to put it in your equation, it's y equals the slope times x plus your y-intercept. So negative 20x plus 90. I'm bumbling on my words today. The correct choice for this would be C, because your slope is positive. So these would be out. And this looks like it has a y-intercept of around 0, and this looks like it has a y-intercept higher up on the y-axis. So you're going to want to choose C, since the y-intercept was 5 and not 0. So for the graph, rise over run, you pick 2 points ahead. It went up 1 box over 3 boxes. This 1 box is worth 10, and these 3 boxes are worth 15. So I get a positive slope of 10 over 15. If you pick 2 points, maybe perhaps pick the 080 and the 1570. You get a change in y of 10, change in of x of 15. You still get the 10 over 15. So when you give your slope, if you have 10 over 15 here, that's excellent, but it might help if you simplify your ratio. So I divided the top and the bottom both by 5, giving me a new slope of 2/3. Remember, when you write the equation, to use points that are on your trend line, not the scatter plot points. So the y-axis is talking about your test score, and the x-axis is talking about the minutes you study. And so we're talking about 2 for the test score every 3 minutes. So that's interesting, because it's not like you're going to get a test score of 2, right? So you do have to stop and think about this one a little bit. So what do you think that means? For every 3 minutes you study, what do you think is going to happen to your test score? It's going to go up, right? The slope is positive. Up by how much? 2. So you improve your test score by 2 points for every 3 minutes you add to your study time. What is the y-intercept of the trend line? Well, look over here in the graph. It's 60. And it means that if you don't study, you're probably going to get a 60 to start. So you're not going to pass. Okay. You got to study. Write the equation of the trend line. This is one of my biggest focuses. Like I really want to make sure that this is something you're comfortable with at this point. So we have our slope, which was 2/3. So you're going to write y equals 2/3 x, and then your plus 60 was your y-intercept. If you could get this and this, based on your exit tickets, this looks like you've got this under control. I think maybe coming up with the slope at this point might be challenging for some of you. Okay, so we're going to turn quickly to page 41. Pause it and get there. Page 41. we are going to start problem solving with trend lines. So I got to turn mine to page 41 too, so I don't make a mistake. So several members at a gym were asked how many minutes they worked out at the gym, and as well as how many calories they burned. I misread that a little bit. Their answers were used to make the scatter plot at the right. Write an equation for the trend line. So I am not picking the data points from the scatter plot. Somebody drew a trend line here, and I now have to pick points that are on the line. So if I'm going to write an equation for the line, makes sense, right? So a couple ways you could do it. You could do your rise over run here. So up 3 boxes is really up 300. So your rise is 300. Your run 2 boxes is over 20. So I get my slope that way. So 300 divided by 20, cross out your zeros. What's 30 divided by 2? 15. Or you could pick 2 points, right? You could do 0, 0, and 20, 300. Change in y over change in x will give you 15 also. So my slope is 15. And I'm going quickly through that because we've been doing slope for quite a while. Your y-intercept is the origin. So this is a proportional linear relationship. Woo-woo. What does the x represent in the equation? Well, the x represents time in minutes, or minutes worked out. English. That's what they had in the answer key for this thing. I don't know if that sounds right. The y-axis is talking about calories burned. And remember we talked in our lessons about how it's really important. We talked about, what was that one question on the exit ticket? About DJ, the CJ, the DJ. And that was really important before you start doing anything like this to identify what the variables represent. Make sure you're really, really clear on that, because this is how it's going to work. They're going to ask you some questions and ask you to do some calculations. You got to plug the right numbers into the right spots. How many calories? So we're looking for calories. We're looking for Y. Y is calories. Would you expect someone to burn if they spent 120 minutes at the gym? 120 minutes at the gym. So 120 minutes is your X. Very first step, you want to write the equation. Y equals. Oh my gosh, I didn't even write the equation up here. Write an equation for the trend line. Hello, Mrs. Raymond. Y equals 15x plus 0. Don't need to write the 0. Copy that down here. So if I know that I have 120 minutes, I'm going to plug in for X here, and that will tell me how many calories, right? Y is the calories. So Y equals 15 times 120 is 1,800. 1,800 what? Calories. Make sure you write that. Keeps you straight. If someone burned 1,740 calories, how many minutes would you predict they've spent at the gym? So they're giving you calories. Calories is Y. What? And they're asking you how many minutes. They're asking you to find X. So this happens every once in a while. I'm not going to do this too often because it's not going to be on your assessment, but I feel funny not even mentioning it, you know? So I know which one of these. I know Y. So you have to replace Y with 1,740. And we are looking for, you know what? How long is it going to take me here? That is a lot of calories. Jeez. I think I burned 200 on my 23-minute run. Come on now. All right, so how am I going to figure out X? This is. I'm not going to hold you accountable for this on the next assessment, but it's worth mentioning because we're going to get into equations next chapter. You're going to love it. 15 times X, inverse of multiplication is division. Divide everything by 15, and I get X equals 116. 116 what? 116 minutes. It's going to take, okay, well, that's fair. 116 minutes to burn 1,740 calories. Oh, okay, I'll give you that. I'm not going to be working out for 116 minutes. When I say 23 for me. What is the slope of the trend line equation, and what does it represent? This is on the quiz. This is also on the quiz. That's coming up like in a couple days. It will be on Delta Math one of the days you're remote. So these are big. The slope is 15. What is, as a ratio, 15 over 1. We're talking about calories burned. That's your Y. Over minutes. So this means you burn 15 minutes. No, you don't. You burn 15 calories every 1 minute. Sweet. What is the y-intercept of the trend line equation, and what does it represent? Well, the y-intercept is 0. It means, I'm not going to write it down, a person who works out for 0 minutes burns 0 calories. I'm not writing it down because I'm trying to save myself some time. Okay, the next one looks very similar to the assessment in that there is no graph. They're giving you an equation, then asking you some questions. So Julian made a scatter plot to show the number of band members at his school over the years. The trend line of his scatter plot had an equation of y equals 13x plus 45, where y represents the total number of band members and x represents the number of years since 1990. So x is years. How many students would you predict? So I'm looking for members, right? Which is your y. Would you predict to be members of the band in 1997? So 1997 is how many years past 1990? 7. So we know the years, right? Years is, x represents the number of years, x. So write down the equation. Oh, it's right here. Ding, 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 ding. Y equals 13x plus 45. I'm going to put this here. Y equals 13 times 7 plus 45. So 7 years, they're going to be at 100. No, let's do this. 13 times 7 plus 45 is 136 members. Okay. Just a side note. So what is this? What does this represent right here? This 13? Just kind of side noting here. Let me cross this out. Cross all this out. So we're just talking right now. What does this 13 for the slope represent? Because that is something you're going to be asked. So, oh my gosh, now I forget. So let's see. We're going to do, it's change in y over change in x, right? So what's the y? It represents the total number of band members. And the x is the number of years, right? So it looks like every year they're gaining 13 members for every 1 year, right? So that's how I would do it. 13 members for every 1 year. That helps me figure out what the meaning of the slope is. You got to really go back and figure out what goes on top and what goes on bottom, just like in proportions. Okay. So not loving that I didn't get through as much as I wanted to get through in the time that I'm trying to allocate to this. You're doing a fantastic job coming on, doing the videos, answering the questions. I'm so happy for you. So I'm going to say we're going to stop here, and I want you to do the homework that's associated with this note packet, with this note 4. I want you to do homework 4. So I need you to do the whole thing. So try everything on here, and we're going to go over this in class together, you know, slowly, and talk about it so that you feel nice and confident when we are done. So please, please, please mark up your paper with questions. And you can always, if I don't answer them during class, you can always stay after class and ask me, okay? It's really important that you get this time into practice to see what it is you don't know, okay? It's okay not to know it. I promise. Okay, have a great day. I will see you soon.